behalf here, they had questions, and I'm here to get them answered. I am in beautiful, sunshiny Florida, outside the one, the only Kennedy Space Center on Merritt Island, Titusville, Florida. And I have paid for parking, so I'm in parking lot number 6, and I have to go pay to get a ticket to get in. And inshallah, can answer all the questions and get so much more information that my students have. And inshallah, my voice get better because I have been under the weather. Thank you, DC, for having crazy, insane weather changes. So let's go see what adventures we're gonna find, and let's go outer space.
Now we're getting into the part you guys have all been waiting for, the life in space and all the questions. So this right here is the Atlantis. This is the rockets and the fuel tank needed to get our shuttles into space. These do fall off and come back onto the Earth, and we are able to recover them, while the shuttle is able to launch into space, either into orbit or into discovery. The museum is fantastic, so every wall is full of information and excitement, and getting you prepared. There's a lot of anticipation as you wait. And they have a theater. They have people go and a certain number of people out in the theater. You're not allowed to take video in there. So I just have a few pictures before I did snag a little video from the very end. This is just showing you how they are able to, how they built the shuttles and the long process and how long it took for us to get humans into space to start exploring and studying outside of us. This is just the empty inside of the Atlantis shuttle. So this would have all kinds of parts, and they have these really cool interactive videos you can dissect and find out so much about each part that would be inside the shuttle and how the astronauts lived in there and how they were able to control it, make their food, use the bathroom. And we're going to cover so much more of that. But this is just really an amazing map to show you how if you were on the shuttle and where you would go. So here's what the bathroom looks like, and I'm going to show you guys a more detailed of that later because they do have an area where it actually has where you can see what the toilet looked like and the design and explains how they used them. There are so many very important parts to a shuttle and every part of it is needed for life, sustainability, and to be able to study. Because astronauts are scientists, they are very experienced, and their job is to gather information. So you have the engineers and designers and manufacturers who build the shuttles, and the astronauts are there to study space, collect data information that is further studied when they return to Earth. So here is what the bathrooms look like. You actually have to strap yourself in so gravity doesn't lift you off. And it is not that easy actually to be able to wiggle and move around to go to the bathroom. They have devices that will basically suction out that waste so it doesn't go floating around the spacecraft because that would be pretty gross. But it's amazing how many just little knobs and buttons just to be able to use the bathroom.
So I'm inside. It's sort of like a little phone booth, but it's pretty comfy. I've got a sleeping bag right here that we sleep in so we don't have sort of like a little bit of a cover. We don't fly all over the place. But you know, you can sleep in any orientation. I have it sleeping, feeling like I'm standing up right now, but like you saw, I'm on the floor. But it doesn't matter if I turn over and I sleep upside down. I can't have it. I don't have any sensation in my head that tells me that I'm upside down. So it really doesn't.
So here's what astronaut food, or some examples of what astronaut food would look like packaged up. And a lot of these things are actually freeze dried and they rehydrate them. They look pretty crazy when they're packaged up like this. And my class and I, you guys know, we had a little experiment. We just bought some freeze dried strawberries and just tasted them out. And what happens? Someone put them in their water to rehydrate it, but also just letting it sit on your tongue and start to kind of dissolve or just soften up and then you really taste the strawberry. These are just very interesting ways
Okay.
that they eat.
Oh, nice bounce. Off the mouth. Nice. Practice. Life better, safer, down on Earth. When you take away gravity, your body changes. Your balance system, of course, is completely messed up without gravity.
Astronaut suits are made out of multiple layers. A lot of it is mainly to keep in our body heat because space is just a vacuum and all of your heat is going to escape. Here's some of the materials used to make a suit. The suits are also designed so that the astronauts can move around and do what they call a spacewalk, which is basically walking in space. We don't know if space really has a smell because the astronauts can't take off their helmets when they're in space. And when they enter back into the shuttle, there's a lot of changes that happen that could alter the ability to smell what space was like. One of the things that astronauts do is put up, install, and maintain massive telescopes in outer space. This is how we're able to see into other galaxies. It's really cool, and there's so much you can learn here. One way we send information and data from our telescopes back to Earth is through satellites. This one is so tiny. Look at it next to my hand, but this one is extremely powerful. Now that we understand astronauts are scientists, they also have to be able to drive these massive shuttles. There's a lot of equipment, some extremely powerful engines, and we're going to look a little bit in a minute on the heat of it. But on these shuttles, which look at all this information there. Some of the things they do, they bring plants, they study how they interact in space, and they also can provide a little oxygen for the astronauts. Look at all these tools that they have. They have a very impressive kit here. Some of these I have actually seen in my dad's workshop, at least some similar sort of versions of this. And I'm sure many of you may have seen this type of tool right here, but yeah, they use it. Here is, I tried so many times to get the right number and didn't quite have it right until the very end.
We have a go from main engine start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And we have liftoff.
There is a lot of power that comes from these jets and the shuttle, and it is so strong. This is amazing. There's no car you could build this fast. This is what the engine looks like. It is huge. And here's a wall with the heat map, and I'm going to show you regular temperatures right here. It shows you both Fahrenheit and Celsius. So these are the hottest temperatures we can get. And look at that, 4th of July, we're crazy with heat. And we're going even more and more. Turning sand into glass. Okay. Boiling point of copper. I did not know that. That's some interesting information here. But all the way here, this is insane. Entering back into the earth, yes, it gets very, very hot. And I don't know about you guys, but if you've ever heard the shuttle re entering into the atmosphere, it is loud, very, very loud, but amazing. And then they're ready to take all the information they know and do it all over again. This museum actually has simulators where you can basically try to drive one of the shuttles, sit like an astronaut, and feel like you're riding this shuttle. Now let's look at this map that has NASA headquarters right here in Washington, D.C. There's some very important spaces here. There's also a lot of facilities where people just do study, and many different states where these astronauts have come from, where they originate. But looking here, yep, Huntsville, Alabama's got a nice center there. Kennedy Space Center, that is where I am at the recording of this video, and it's just all over the place. And let's just keep looking. I think all the way coast to coast. Houston, that's where my dad grew up when my grandfather worked on the Apollo missions, all the way there. And there's testing centers where they do things. You have to have all these research centers just to study. And look, all over the place. We even have things happen in Alaska and Hawaii. Didn't remember to look at the legend, but and setting up on the launch pad, there is the actual banner. All the people who helped out make it into space, they all sign their names. On top of all those people involved, there are 2.5 million parts that make up the space shuttle. And the tires, oh, these are huge. And you have to have the emergency bay door cutter in case they're not able to get the machines to close it. So this wall over here has all the different shuttles in the process and how many missions that each one did that took our astronauts into space, back from space. There were some tragedies, unfortunately, that happened with some of them, but we learned from these experiences and learned to grow and build these and to become better vessels. We did studies on plants, we did studies on animals in space as we learn and understand more about more than just our planet, but our galaxy and our universe. There are different jobs. There's people who have to take the shuttles to the launch pad and get it prepared. Astronauts require a lot of training and they have to exercise even in space to stay in shape. People have jobs to place every single little tile that makes up the shuttle. These are remarkable human engineering, and there are so many possible jobs: computer science, engineering, down to the person who drives the bus to transport the astronauts to the shuttle when it's time for launch. And somebody has to build it too. There's the gift shops have all these really cool patches that you can collect, and posters and all kinds of just unique things to remember your experience, and some fun interactive parts. Just above the gift shop, we get one more look at one of these telescopes that float into space. There's even an astronaut training center that they have here, or at least an experience of what it's like going through training. This, I know it's supposed to be one of the Apollo ships, but it really looks like some weird UFO, and there should be aliens in it. There's this little guy, and he was adorable, dressed up, ready for his astronaut. And this is completely made out of Legos, one of our exploration rovers that is currently on Mars. This stone, oh my gosh, just the stone in the base, there was so much information just on how these were built and how heavy they are. But this stone is just, it looks like it's so easily rotating just by the power of water, but it is incredibly heavy. And it has all these different constellations, including some that are used in astrology. Then we have here the International Space Station. This is floating in space. There's so much research done on there. Multiple companies in all of these countries are part of it, and they send astronauts here to do study and research. And I think this is an amazing collaboration. This is something so helpful to help bring some unity, that we all have this curiosity and desire to learn more and understand about the world around us, and our universe and galaxy. Until next time.